Welcome to Acoustic Guitar Episode 5. This lesson is going to cover a popular acoustic guitar technique called rhythm comping technique. Now, rhythm comping is used by both steel string and nylon string guitar players to perform an all-in-one attack with the picking hand that grabs into all the notes of a particular chord voicing all at once. And in doing this, the chord gets played more like how a piano player would play a chord on the piano keys, all at once like that. And this means that when guitar players are comping, the sound of the strum, which we're so accustomed to and the guitar is so well known for, is actually abandoned for a new sound in where the chord is attacked all at once in one attack. So in part 1 of the lesson here, we're going to introduce the technique, and in part 2, we're going to study some comping techniques and their application with acoustic jazz, which is a really popular format for this. So let's zoom in and get started. Well, in example 1, we're going to just start here by going through some basic ideas for rhythmic comping. And this comping technique, it requires the plucking hand fingers to connect as perfectly as possible to the string sets that they're going to be playing. Now, in order to develop this skill, the plucking hand needs to get used to grabbing into specific string sets as the chord voicings are going to change across the measures. So in example 1A, the quarter and eighth note groove here is pretty simple. It allows for the thumb to consistently attack the 4th string while the index, middle, and ring fingers are going to pluck 3rd to 1st guitar strings. And we're going to start with that one first. It just begins on a D chord, so make a D chord shape, open position D, and then with the thumb and the index, middle, and ring fingers attack all at once. So you can see the thumb moves down and the index, middle, and ring fingers move into the hand, into the palm of the hand. And that's what executes that comp style. Now you can see that the thumb is well out in front. One of the things that I find students do poorly in the beginning with comping is their thumb is too far in behind and they're comping and they're trying to comp and they're not getting a good flow. You got to have that thumb out in front and then you'll get a good snap of all those strings all at once. So keep that in mind for setting up the idea. Now once you can do the comp and it's starting to execute fairly well, that's when you can start building the rhythm. The rhythm is really straightforward. We just go all together on that D chord and then we're going to separate it from the treble tones back to that bass tone of the open 4th. So all together and then broken for the treble chord structure against that open 4th string D. So all together and then separated. Again, all together, separated. And then we just move up into 7th position, do it again, all together, separated, and then on to the 5th position, and then all together, separated. Here it is all together now, the first measure of the D, and then moving up to 7th position to get that G with D in the bass, and then moving down to get that F with the D in the bass. So isolate it, get it all set up. And get it going along the guitar neck. Now, in example 1B, what's going on here is the fingerings in the groove are going to become a little bit more complex with a mix of 8th and 16th notes. So you want to watch the root notes. They're going to be plucked with the thumb and they're going to alternate between the 6th and 5th string. So really be careful there. We want that 6th string G to be part of the very first part of the measure there, and then when we move to the next chord in that measure, it's a C chord, so we want that C tone to be well organized with your thumb when you're going to make that attack. And then we're going to move to the E minor. That means 6th string has to be going on there with that thumb, and then we're going to move on to the D chord of having that A in the bass. Alright, so D with A in the bass is the last chord. It's just a 2-measure phrase, and you want to just make sure you can set up those fingerings really well first, across all those chords. E minor, and then the D chord with the A in the bass there. Then when you're going through the riff, you have to pay attention here because we're going to be using a 16th note feel against some 8th notes. So it's going to have a feel like this. So the count on that is going to be like this. 1 E and 2 and. So you can tell there we're missing the downbeat of 2 because that low tone on the 6th string 3rd fret, it sustains over. So that's how it's operating on the G chord. When we move over to the C major chord, it's going to be much the same, but the string set orientation is going to change a bit. We're going to be working just between 5th and 2nd string now. Okay, and then we move to E minor, very similar. And then when we hit the D with A in the bass, we're just going all together with the open A string, open 4th D string, and then that 2nd fret and 3rd fret tone from the D chord on the 3rd and 2nd strings there. Okay, so keep that groove together and make sure the thumb is always tracking the bass notes that you need. Our bass notes in this case are always off of the 6th and the 5th strings. Okay, and now here's the groove once again. 1 E and 2 and, 3 E and 4 and, 1 E and 2 and, 3, 4. Just like that. I'll speed it up a bit for you now. All right. So now in example 1, we've gone over example 1A and 1B, which are good practice studies. They'll get you acquainted with doing the technique. And then the other side of it too is, you know, you want to be able to go to some other chords on your own as well and just understand how the functionality of this works. I think you're going to get that through the exercise here. But, you know, be sure to move on to some other chords so you understand how to work through some other shapes. And the process is pretty straightforward. You know, from what we start with here, you should be able to go on and do that. But just to make sure everything's really working well, in example 2, I've got some interesting 3 and 4 note chord comping exercises for you to try. So we'll take a short break, come back in a moment with example 2, and just try a couple of more ideas to get you going with the comping technique. Hey everyone, Andrew Wasson. Just wanted to make a quick announcement about creativeguitarstudio.com. You know, if you haven't grabbed a free membership yet, just head to the website, click on Create Account, fill this form out, and you got a free lifetime account to the website. Once that's in place, you can just jump into the members area here where we got all the lesson plans. And my quick announcement I wanted to make is I'm really excited because we've got the latest installment in the Advanced Guitar program posted to the site. Now, in the Advanced Guitar program is packed full of information. Each of these project lessons is around 2.5 hours of instruction. There's probably around 160 to 180 hours of instruction just in these lesson plans alone. The latest installment covers minor pentatonic, and there's 24 videos. This lesson plan is 2 hours and 45 minutes long when you run through all the lessons. If you've got a full premium membership, you can download the course files and an MP3 jam track. It's really quite the program. So if you're looking for a really serious guitar course online, right from beginner, you know, I've got the introductory program here, or intermediate, if you feel like you're more of an intermediate player and you want to work through, you know, lesson plans that are really geared to understanding the guitar fingerboard much better. You know, so if that's kind of your level, I've got those set up. But, you know, a lot of people really enjoy the advanced material. It's all the major scales, major 7 arpeggios and chords and minors and pentatonics and lots of improvisation exercises throughout here. So if you really want to jump into some great step-by-step material that is really organized, and in no way is it some kind of random guitar course. Like, I know I've heard so many complaints over the years about all the random lessons, and then probably for a lot of you, you're sick of the random lessons on YouTube that don't follow any kind of order and sequence. Well, you know, grab your free membership, start with that. But, you know, when you're ready to advance to sort of the next level there, you can grab one of my membership plans. Basic monthly membership's $19.95 a month, and then if you want to upgrade to the premium package, you do save $60. It's a one-time payment of $179.40, but that does give you full access to everything on the site. If you want a great step-by-step, well-organized guitar course, just head over to creativeguitarstudio.com and set up your membership today. All right, in example 2, we're working through some interesting stuff here. We have 3 and 4 note chord comping studies. Again, just to build your skills higher, get you acquainted much more with how everything's operating between the hands and all that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start here in example 2 with the focus on really improving the attack of the picking hand, and the way that we're going to work through this really is isolating plucking done upon specific string sets. So in example 2A, the plucking takes place on the 4th through 2nd strings. The chords are going to be an F chord, and then a small C chord, and then we're going to drop down into a B flat major there. All major chords, F major, C major, and B flat major. And these are going to be plucked using comping technique in measure 1, and there's also a connecting phrase that's performed in measure 2, and it sort of works to just resolve the riff. You know, a lot of it's based on 4th string, but then we move to 3rd, and then the 3rd and the 2nd with a small double stop chord there on the 5th and 6th frets, and then we end on this E tone on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. Right, so that's the connecting phrase. Now let's look closely at what's going on in the first measure where we have these 3-note chords. And again, this is just for practice of the isolation of the pluck so that you're getting really good at grabbing into the string sets that you want. Now we're going to be using a 7th, 5th, and 6th fret layout off of the 5th position from 4th string to 2nd string for the F chord. You can see how I do that attack. It's all at once. The index and middle fingers come into the palm of my hand, thumb is moving downward. So the attack is very smooth and all at one time. And then I isolate it by breaking it apart, where I've got the 4th string alone and then the 3rd and 2nd strings alone. Then I go across and I make a bar with my index finger to create the 5th fret layout of the C chord. But then I'm going to make it kind of into a suspended chord for just a moment by bringing in the middle finger to touch on the 6th fret of the 2nd string, and then move it down into the 3rd position there to get the B flat major. And it's a nice sound, kind of sounds like, you know, classic rock stuff or something. There's the run. So really smooth, nice riff, very melodic, and it'd be a good one to just, again, start working on isolating plucks on the 4th and through to the 2nd strings, you know, or 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings. So work on that one a little bit, get that technique down. In example 2B, we have a really laid back progression because it's made up of dotted quarter and then, you know, an 8th tied into a half note. So not very much going on here for rhythmic ideas, but, you know, it's a nice smooth sound, and then we're also going to be getting some nice chord changes too, because in the setup of the chord changes, we're working between 5th to 2nd string. There's some inversions there and all that, and what we're doing is we're keeping that thumb tracking on the 5th guitar string, just like we were working quite heavily on example 2A with the 4th guitar string being the target there. But on example 2B, what we have is we have our C minor chord starting things off, and then we're going to move into a B flat chord with D in the bass, sustain that, and then we're going to move forward, grab an E flat major. That's in 6th position there, 6th position E flat major bar chord, pattern number 2 from the curriculum if you're following the material from the Creative Guitar Studio course. And then we move into the 4th position to get this A flat major with E flat in the bass. So we're keeping the E flat in the bass for both of those chords in the 2nd measure, the E flat major and the A flat major with the E flat, kept in the 5th string there. So all together we get this groove, very nice feel. It goes like this: 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Again, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Up to the E flat. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, and then back into that C minor. So, you know, spend some time understanding how that's all set up, get your voicings together, but mainly what we're shooting for on that is that nice smooth attack. Again, you can tell when I make those attacks, my index, middle, and ring fingers all come into the palm of the hand there, thumb is going downwards towards the floor, all is one movement, one motion. Okay, and then you can tell, you know, I should mention something because sometimes you're hearing me probably do this broken strum where it's not really a comp, but I'm kind of hitting and with each finger very quickly in a very fast run. sort of a sweep sound with each individual finger. Now that's a little bit more challenging to do that, but it's kind of like an advanced concept outside of the comp, and you'll hear me integrate that quite often. Listen to some of my other acoustic guitar videos. You can hear me do that quite often because I really enjoy that sound. I think it's a really nice technique. But because it's kind of a little more ripping, to do it, it's a little more complex too. So anyway, that brings us to the end of part 1, acoustic guitars, lesson 5, rhythm comping technique. And then what's going to happen when we join up again in the members area is we're going to look at what's happening for example 3 and example 4. So what you're going to have to be doing there is looking at more on the side of jazz experience. So we're going to look at some comping with jazz voicings in example 3 when we're in the members area with that stuff. And then in example 4, we're going to look at jazz comping with 2-note intervals. So we're going to do some nice work where we're going to, have some 6th intervals, nice sounding ideas like that. So, we'll mess around with those ideas coming up in example 3 and 4 in the members area. You will need a membership, a paid membership to get into that material, but it's well worth it. A lot of people join for a month and just test it out, try it out for the $19.95 and just see what's like. And then, what happens is a lot of times they may buy another month, but often they'll just go ahead and just buy the premium membership because there's so much quality material in there. And I think out of everything, the feedback that I get from people and the emails I receive is that they're just happy to have a course that's really teaching, like you're going to a guitar school, chapter by chapter, material that builds on itself and gets into more advanced stuff as you go along. It's very organized, and it's really unlike most of what's out there in any of the other web-based schools that are being run, or if you want to call them schools. I think my school's best because I own it. I got to think that. But the idea is that there's a course, and you're taking it in a chapter by chapter approach and really building on material, and it's well laid out. So if you have any questions, you can call me in the studio through the week, or you could send me an email. I'd be happy to talk to you about the programs and about the course examples that I have online through the membership area at any time. So thanks for joining me for this video, and we'll catch up soon in part 2 in the members area. Smooth Jazz Chords introduces chord types that offer a very different sound from the chords that are used in almost every other style of music. The Smooth Jazz Chords video lesson is a 2-part course that demonstrates chord types that are used in the smooth jazz style. These chords are often referred to as triad over bass note chords, and the lesson demonstrates these chord shapes as well as their use using both diagrams and example progressions. Smooth Jazz Chords is available for instant download in the View Our Products area at creativeguitarstudio.com. Well, hey, thanks for watching part 1 of the lesson. Be sure to sign up for a membership at creativeguitarstudio.com to watch part 2. In part 2, we'll take a run through how comping is used by acoustic jazz players. Plus, as a member, you'll also be able to download the handout for this lesson along with many more professional guitar lessons. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch up next in the members area.